Okay, here we are, everyone. Hello again. As usual, it's Friday. It is the Love Your Liver live stream. And today I have another testimonial, a child testimonial to go over. And we have something interesting I found. Well, not interesting I found. Actually, I had known it, but just plugging together the research on liver. Imagine me talking about the liver and portal hypertension, which is hypertension caused by the liver, and then hemorrhoids, which is also another way of, it's a varicose vein in your butt. So anyway, I'm Dr. Garrett Smith. I am the nutrition detective here around these YouTube parts, and my website is nutritiondetective.com. I do also link my old research forum for those of you who want to go and see some of my early writings in my vitamin A toxicity detox journey. If you don't know, I'm kind of the world expert in treating vitamin A toxicity and getting rid of the liver problems associated with it and other liver toxins that you've been told are good for you that are not. Imagine if they would tell you things that they say are good for you but aren't really. So the testimonial is linked in the description of this video below if you want to see it. I'm going to read it. But if you want to see, if you want to read it for yourself, I mean, it's not proof. It's somebody who's in the Love Your Liver program. It is a mother, and she has a child, and she was sending, the mother and the child are working with me doing my testing and consultation stuff. I do work with children. The biggest thing about me working with children is I tell people I work with the parents, and the parents work with the child. And this is even a parent in another country. So sometimes we have to, work on if they're going to use supplements, what supplements they can get in that country. And I do that as part of what I do. Shipping and customs and all that stuff is crazy these days. I'm sure you guys all know. It's been pretty wild with supply chains. We're seeing supply chain stuff hitting the supplement industry. Absolutely. So anyway, back to the testimonial. Here, this was posted in the Love Your Liver Network this last week. Here we go. And I will add asides as I go. Quote, I just wanted to share some lovely feedback I had from my 6-year-old son's teachers at Parents' Evening this week. At the last Parents' Evening about 4 months ago, his teachers described him as a very daydreamy child who just wanted to sit and doodle, and it was very hard to get him to do any work. It was around this time I got him on the supplements recommended after his consult. And we also started NDLF, that's Nutrition Detective Lactoferrin. You can find that at my website. If somebody out there wanted to link it, you could. But anyway, we also started NDLF at the time it was launched. At Parents' Evening last week, they described him as being a completely different child. He is motivated and throws himself into his work and is often the first to finish. His reading has come on leaps and bounds. What has happened from my perspective over the last 4 months is that his health has been steadily improving, which has transformed his ability to concentrate and learn. At the start of the detox, we were dealing with anxiety, and he found it very hard to fall asleep. He would typically fall asleep around 9 or 9:30 p.m., and I would have to sit by his side for a long time while he slowly tried to go off. My poor boy was chronically tired and wired, I believe, and it was also very frustrating for me as I had no evening to speak of. I'm going to say an aside here. Chronically tired and wired is the number one thing I would think of is copper toxicity. We don't do copper deficiency around here, but we also don't try to make ourselves zinc toxic for those of you who don't understand that the two are not the same thing. Anyway, I think of copper toxicity first. I think of vitamin A toxicity second on trouble falling asleep, tired and wired. I also think of potassium deficiency. I've talked about this in past live streams. Here we go. Things have gradually improved over the last few months, and I am now able to tuck him into bed at 7:30 p.m., put a meditation track on for him, and leave the room. He falls quickly asleep. He has never gone to bed this early in his life. If I had put him to bed early in the past, we would still be awake past 9 p.m., and he would be very frustrated at his inability to fall asleep easily like his sister can. We still have some way to go. He still hates to be alone and shares a room with his little sister. But he is improving so much, I'm confident we will get there eventually. But for now, I'm delighted that life is much better than it was a year ago. And this was from a continuation post in that thread. Yes, I really think it was copper. He is my first child, and I carried him at the peak of my toxicity. I think he got a lot of copper from me that his younger sister did not. His zinc wasn't accurate on HTMA, which is the hair test, due to contamination, but Dr. Smith said take zinc based on his symptoms. He also takes selenium and vitamin K. I put magnesium in his baths, and magnesium chloride is what I recommend, not Epsom salts, not magnesium sulfate. And based on my recent experimentation and your help on that, I'm going to start adding potassium chloride to his baths. I would also add that his bedtime anxious behavior is not at all like one I would expect a child to be who is, quote, playing up or just resisting change. If I left him, he used to have a sort of panic attack-like symptom, hyperventilating from crying so much, and he had no ability to calm it down. He would only get more upset. At times, I had to lay down with him or cuddle him to sleep, and then I wouldn't be able to get up for a long time after he fell asleep, or he would wake up and it would all start again. It was very challenging. He would have scary thoughts he would not be able to get out of his head, and I had to be extremely careful what I allowed him to see on TV, as if he found something scary, he would be upset about it for weeks, and then he wouldn't even go to the toilet or anything alone. It was like he had that classic copper symptom of being unable to switch off or rationalize one's thoughts. End quote. Try to help the people in your life who are in the bioavailable copper deficiency pseudoscience nonsense. Anyone who is trying to diagnose or treat, I should say, address copper from a hair test alone, I'm sorry to say they are lost. They are so lost. Why do people do this? Because most of them are not actual healthcare practitioners and they can't order labs. They can't order blood labs. So they are forced to say that hair test is the way to go. And then they talk about things like hidden copper toxicity sometimes. But they can't see it. They just say it's there. Okay. If you can't see it, what are you treating? There's a reason there are benefits. Okay. You don't use a screwdriver to do a hammer's job. You don't use a hammer to do a screwdriver's job. There are different tools that work better for different things. This should be logical. This is just like when I talk, one of the terms I started using for myself is a liver mechanic. Like I fix livers. There's different tools. So think about a car, like a mechanic. There's different parts that break in a car. Mechanics use different tools to fix different broken parts of the car. They use different diagnostic techniques to tell what is wrong with your car. Yes, they can use a computer, but they still have to do other techniques on top of that. So why would anyone say that one approach to doing this is the one and only you need? It does not work that way. Now, somebody might be saying, well, Dr. Smith, you just treated his zinc. And what I can tell you is on the hair test, the zinc was very, very high. It was off the charts, I believe, if I recall correctly. I decided, based on my past experience, this is what people get who work with me directly, rather than doing it on their own. I looked at the symptoms. I looked at the mother's symptoms. I looked at the child's symptoms. The mother told me that she had used, I believe, a shampoo to help the child's, hair and head, scalp, that had zinc in it. So the hair zinc was useless, absolutely useless. We don't know where his actual hair zinc was. And I don't tend to do bloods on kids because it's just, 6-year-olds, you don't need to put them through that. If you don't need to put them through the trauma of a blood draw, why do it? If I can do a pretty darn good job, as you could tell from that testimonial from the hair test. But it's just like people will say, well, my best work is done with this, But if I have to do work with less optimal tools, I can do that. That's what I do. With kids, I don't tend to put them through the trauma of blood draws. If parents will do that and the kid is, up for it, but usually they get a little older and then they're up for it more. My boy, my boy was a champ doing his blood tests. He doesn't want to do them anymore. It's funny, as he got a little older, he's like, I don't really want to do it, but I could still get him to do it if I really needed to. But I haven't needed to. He's been improving so much. Yeah, he used to be terrible with critique. My son was born toxic from a toxic father and a toxic mother. And so he inherited toxicity. If you know that your parents were toxic when you were born and you've had health problems your entire life, you were born toxic. If you were born with jaundice, you were born with cholestasis, a liver injury. You were born toxic. Okay? That's just the way it is. So accept it. I love Jocko Willink's book, Extreme Ownership. It doesn't matter how you got sick. Okay. The first thing you have to do, folks, if you want to get better, you have to own ownership. You have to own that you're sick and that you are in charge of fixing it. Wandering around blaming anybody, whoever it is, the doctors, your parents, the military, whatever did it, living next to a factory. It doesn't matter what did it. The only thing that matters now is that you are in charge of fixing it. You're the only one who's going to find, I don't know, maybe somebody like me who's going to help you fix it. That is what I do. But you have to first, people who come to me don't realize that most of the work that I do in the Love Your Liver program, which is the Love Your Liver program by itself, is the do-it-yourself part. That's the hours and hours of knowledge that I can't transmit to people in a consult. Hours and hours of knowledge. My weekly updates for the program can be an hour and a half to 2 hours. This is not something, this is simple, but it's not easy. And many people come in and they're like, wait, weren't you just going to tell me like a couple of foods to eat and a couple of supplements to take, and that's going to magically fix me in a month or two, maybe? No, it's a marathon, not a sprint. Poison on the way in, poison on the way out. You push it too hard, you're going to feel like garbage. It's not the program failing you, it's you not listening to the program. We now have multiple research, maybe I'll go over this next week, of showing that people's vitamin A levels, as they avoid vitamin A, go up in the blood sometimes for some people. And this is why some people, when they start doing this, feel a bit worse. They have their honeymoon phase where they feel better, and then they start to feel worse. And then they blame the program, and they say, oh, I obviously have vitamin A deficiency in 6 months, even though in the research that would never, ever, 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 ever happen. You have years worth of vitamin A in your liver, folks. Your liver's not storing it up for a rainy day. It's trying to keep it out of your blood so you don't die. Anyway. Copper toxicity. Copper's a toxic metal. You don't need it or want it, really. I don't have people avoid it completely. We have lots of people on the program who really try to minimize it in their diet, and that's a huge part of them feeling better. We don't concern ourselves one bit with bioavailable copper. We also, if people work with me, we dose zinc based on their needs, based on a hair test, and preferably, like, unlike with the child here, we also base it on blood tests. There might have been bloods on this child, but I don't think so. I don't usually get them. I don't remember. So, like with a lot of toxic metals, a lot of the things that people think are healthy, I don't purposely have people try to absolutely minimize them. The first question here, people think that I'm going to try to absolutely minimize vitamin A. That's a fool's errand. You don't get anywhere with that. What you get is like 3 foods left, and then that's not. I mean, Grant doing his work, I applaud Grant Genereux, ggenereux.blog. I applaud Grant all the time for doing his selfless work, where he is eating basically the same diet every day. He's going to do it for 10 years. He's at 7 years in. Could you imagine eating beef or bison, black beans, and brown and or white rice 2 or 3 times a day, every day for the rest of your life? That's what a lot of people think a vitamin A detox diet is. And it does it work? Sure. If I was eating that diet day in, day out, I'd be like, just end it. Like, really, I mean, unless I was in a prison, I don't want to eat that diet every day. But Grant is a champion of the movement, and he does it. And people come to me and they're like, wait, and there's people on the internet, this guy's not minimizing vitamin A every second of every day. Oh, I don't know what to do. My next set of labs, I will be vitamin A deficient. And I'm not obsessing over vitamin A content in foods. Do I minimize it? Absolutely. Do I reduce it wherever possible? Yes. Do I minimize it? Yes. Can you eliminate all vitamin A from your diet? No. Can you eliminate all copper from your diet? No. Can you eliminate all manganese from your diet? No. But a lot of folks out there, especially the Americans with the bigger is better, and the people who have driven themselves to me with their obsession with being perfect on diets and overdoing things. That's why you're here. Taking too many supplements and messing yourself up with that. So let's say you pick a supplement that might be toxic because there's a ton of them out there. I don't know, vitamin D supplements. Watch my video on this channel. Vitamin D supplements being rat poison. And you thought, they said maybe 2,000 units a day. Well, I'm better than that. I'm going to take 5,000 a day. I'm going to take 10,000 a day. Oh, and now you're here. Stop doing that. Stop thinking more is better. Goldilocks effect. The right amount is the right amount. Not too hot, not too cold, but just right. How do we figure that out? Testing helps a lot. That's what I do. And then also listening to your body's feedback, which is what this mother is doing to help her child navigate stuff. Because if you push copper detox too hard, you feel like garbage. Because you have too much copper come out and you get copper toxicity symptoms in the blood because that's where the symptoms happen. Why do you think your liver stores copper and vitamin A and other toxins in it? Do you know why? Here's the explanation, simple explanation. Everything you eat, and you absorb both good and bad things from what you eat. Your body's not that great at distinguishing good and bad in the gut. I wish it were better. It's not good at distinguishing good or bad when you rub things on your skin. This is why, especially ladies, but you guys too, you're putting all these toxic chemicals on your skin and they're going into your bloodstream. And then they go to your liver and then they get stored there because what does your liver do? Your liver pulls poisons out of the bloodstream. When your liver cannot process these poisons fast enough, do you think the liver wants to just let them flow through into your bloodstream? No, it's going to grab them and store them away to save you from dying. That's why your liver stores things. Get the idea that it's storing things for later, like a chipmunk with nuts in its cheeks. That's not how it works. Your liver is storing things to prevent you from poisoning in the blood. That's why those things, when in the blood, as soon as they come to the liver puts them away for later, hoping that you will get to some point where you're putting few enough toxins in at once. You stop intoxing so you can start detoxing. If you are intoxing, your detoxing will slow down or stop. That's how it happens. And then the more toxins you put in, the more toxins you want. This is the poisons beget poisons saying that I have. The more poisons you put in, the more poisons you want. It's pretty obvious when people start drinking, right? Alcohol's a poison. They start putting poisons in the system. What do they want to do? Oh, let's go have a cigarette. Oh, let's go smoke some weed. Oh, let's eat some junk food. Oh, let's go get into toxic relationships. Like poisons beget poisons, drugs beget more drugs, pharmaceuticals beget more pharmaceuticals. That's how it works. So we start minimizing or reducing the poisons, and then all of a sudden people find it easier to avoid or minimize other poisons, and they get rid of all these bad habits because it was actually the poisons making them want more poisons. Especially when you think the poisons are good for you, like, oh, I don't know, coffee and chocolate. They're not good for you. So anyway, let's go on to the hemorrhoids part. So first, what are hemorrhoids? Hemorrhoids they're varicose veins of your butt, to put it bluntly. Varicose veins tend to happen in the legs, right? We know where hemorrhoids happen. How does this happen? What I'm going to tell you, I'm going to put some links in here. Here's a paper called The Relationship of Hemorrhoids to Portal Hypertension. Portal refers to the portal vein, which is the big vein that think of your intestines, right? You know, like the large intestine and the small intestine, all the blood vessels that come off of them. All those blood vessels coming off your intestines, the ones that absorb the nutrients and the toxins, they absorb all the nutrients and the toxins, and then those go into the big portal vein that then goes right up into the middle of your liver. Portal vein is the vein basically from your intestines, the absorption, for better or worse, vein that goes right to your liver. Okay. So portal hypertension is high blood pressure in that vein and all basically downstream of it too. What this creates is back pressure going, there's more pressure to pump through. So that creates back pressure on the valves in your, have you guys ever seen those pictures of blood vessels where they've got the little valves? So there's the blood vessel sides and there's the little valves in there. And when your heart pumps, especially as blood is coming up your legs against gravity, each heart pump, it pumps the valve open so the blood flows through. And before gravity can then cause the blood to fall back down with gravity, it snaps, the valves actually snap shut by the pressure comes and pushes the valve shut. So it can't go back. So your valve opens, blood moves up, valve snaps up. Blood is now at the next valve. Heart pushes through, valve opens, snaps shut. It moves up like a ladder, like steps of a ladder. Okay. Too much pressure over too long on those valves. What happens? They break. Things in the body break. It's just like your car. It's just like having a mechanic have to fix things in your car. It's just pressure. It's pipes. Too much pressure in pipes causes what? Things inside the pipes to break and cause the pipes to break. That's a stroke. That's a heart attack. This is just, if you treat the body like a plumbing system and like an electrical system and like levers and pulleys, that's the muscles and bones. If you treat the body like a machine and you stop using, one of the things I cannot stand about the alternative world is they just make up bullshit theories about the body. What do? I avoid the big pharma stuff and I look at things from the nutrition perspective and I treat the body like a machine. As an example, why do people have trouble sleeping or feel tired but wired and all this stuff from copper? Because copper's conductive. These people are running too much electricity through themselves. We are electric biochemical machines. You run too much electricity because you're too conductive and you feel bad. We start getting all that conductivity out by detoxing the copper, and the excess conductivity goes away, and the child falls asleep. You are basically a machine with a soul. And if we treat the physical part of you like that machine, we fix things. How do we diagnose things in a machine? Well, we got to look at what's going into it and what's coming out of it. If you're not looking at your pee and your poop, you have no idea what's going on inside of you. You may not like it. You don't have to like it. You don't have to like anything in this life. That's not my problem. But anyway, the relationship of hemorrhoids to portal hypertension. We have Elevated portal venous pressure is an important factor in those patients having severe hemorrhoidal bleeding. Okay, so we're talking about people with like really bad hemorrhoids, like they're just bleeding out of their rear end. Okay, we have another one, portal hypertension and hemorrhoids, cause effect relationship. And I'm going to put this here. So this is just, not everybody has hemorrhoids, right? People probably have mild portal hypertension or what they would call subclinical portal hypertension. I mean, how are they going to go in and measure your portal blood pressure? They don't do that on. I mean, it's hard enough to get doctors to take your real blood pressure these days, much less your portal blood pressure. Anyway, so this portal hypertension, we've got what do we see here? Portal hypertension was associated with a higher prevalence of hemorrhoids. Okay, so we got those two papers. Now, found a cool study on a sad story of a young girl, probably for acne purposes. Those of you who are here who got poisoned with Accutane or Retin A, which is the so-called active form of vitamin A. It is the most poisonous form of vitamin A. This is what they say your body needs from vitamin A. And your guys' lives were possibly somewhat ruined from this active form of a vitamin. It's not a vitamin, it's a poison. So this was a young girl, 14-year-old girl, who took a ton of vitamin A. The paper is called Massive Vitamin A Intoxication with Ascites. That's the watery swelling inflammation of the gut area, and pleural effusion. That's fluid on the lungs. Okay. I'm going to read this abstract because it's short. Vitamin A intoxication was diagnosed in a 14-year-old girl who presented with massive exudative ascites and right pleural effusion, impaired liver enzymes, and hypertriglyceridemia. I'm going to do an aside here. If you have high triglycerides, your liver's sick. That's all you need to know. It doesn't mean that if you don't have high triglycerides, you must understand that different people show up these problems in different ways. They don't all show up in the same way. Your weak links due to your toxicity pattern, your bile acid pattern, your own nutritional deficiencies, your history of physical trauma, emotional trauma, your genetics, all of it plays a role in where these problems show up for you. So anyway, continuing. But high triglycerides is a dead giveaway for vitamin A toxicity if you have that. I used to have that. I don't have it anymore. Electron microscopy of liver biopsy material demonstrated numerous perisinusoidal lipid-filled Ito cells. All you need to know about that cell, lipid-filled. What are lipids? Fats. Oh, wait, we're leading towards fatty liver. What color is fatty liver? Yellow. What color is vitamin A? Yellow. What color is certain types of bile? Yellow. What is fatty liver then? It's your liver storing bile and vitamin A. Okay. The patient had taken 100 to 200,000 IU vitamin A per day for 15 months. Now, as an aside, there's a person in the network now who was eating enough liver on a regular basis to be getting about 47,000 IU of vitamin A from eggs and liver. And I don't know if she was doing dairy, but she was doing this and she got very, very messed up. I think I went over this in the last live stream, or I went over it in the inner circle, I think. Anyway, Paul Saladino, in his past dietary adventures, the chronometer count on his stuff, he was doing about 47,000 units of liver a day on average from liver and eggs and butter and whatever else he was doing. And now, amazingly, Paul Saladino has been kind of pulling the reins back and saying, oh, people can get vitamin A toxic from liver. Any of you folks out there who are nose to tail carnivores listening to this, all of you nose to tail carnivores who are eating liver regularly and eating kidney, you're just getting toxic metals with eating kidneys. I don't care where they're from. I have studies on New Zealand organs full of toxic metals. You guys are not escaping this. Everybody who's eating liver, it's going to end badly. So people will say, oh, but she was taking this massive amount. She was taking up to four times what these people were eating in their liver. First of all, natural and synthetic vitamin A are all the same. They're all the same toxicity. You are living in a fantasy world if you think they're different. I have a whole video on this channel. Next, vitamin A accumulates in your liver. So you could do a massive dose like this, or you could do a moderate dose for months to years, or you could do a small dose, a relatively small dose for decades. And you end up with the same total vitamin A after a certain period of time, especially if you're not trying to get rid of it. So let's continue. Serum vitamin A level remained elevated for 4 months after vitamin discontinuation. As an aside, this is called the plateau phase. I go over this with people on their labs. Your vitamin A level, it may not be elevated, but it can stay the same for years, 2-3 years after you stop eating vitamin A. Where's that vitamin A coming from? If it's not going down right away in your blood, where's it coming from? It's coming out of your liver. So she was elevated for 4 months after she stopped eating vitamin A. Oh gosh, what did they do to fix her? Oh, they put her on a low vitamin A diet and they stopped her supplements. Gosh, that sounds familiar. Here we go. The unusual severity of portal hypertension. The unusual severity of portal hypertension was documented by a high-wedged hepatic vein pressure level. The ascites occurred 2 months after vitamin A had been discontinued, probably owing to particularly slow mobilization of large hepatic stores of vitamin A. Remember earlier how I was talking about the honeymoon phase where people will feel better after they stop it, and then all of a sudden symptoms come on later and vitamin A levels can sometimes even go up? This is where people who don't understand what's going on and who don't talk to somebody like me, this is where they quit and they go back to doing what they were doing, and then they never get better. It's not that she had a vitamin A deficiency. They were measuring her vitamin A the whole time. They never mentioned she had a deficiency. Okay. Portal hypertension, catch this line. Portal hypertension disappeared after a 6-month low vitamin A diet. But the liver biopsy failed to demonstrate any decrease in number or size of ETO cells, suggesting that lipid venous obstruction is unlikely to be the only mechanism responsible for portal hypertension in vitamin A-induced liver disease. What's that again? Vitamin A-induced liver disease. Say it all together. Vitamin A-induced liver disease. They know it happens. Stop with your fantasy that vitamin A from natural sources and synthetic sources is different, because you're arguing against all of chemistry, all of biochemistry. There's no difference. But I want you to see this. Portal hypertension disappeared after a 6-month low vitamin A diet. So one of the symptoms went away. But the liver biopsy failed to demonstrate any decrease in the number or size of ETO cells. There was still tons of vitamin A in the liver, and she was still vitamin A toxic. The symptom went away. That one symptom went away, but there was still the liver to deal with. Okay, so what I tell people about this is you don't have to be empty of vitamin A to improve, to have symptoms improve. But don't think that just because, like, let's say you come here with 3 symptoms, you come to me or you come to the Love Your Liver program with 3 symptoms and you get rid of one of them, that all of a sudden you're detoxed and you're done. No, you're not done. That's not, you still have tons in your liver. This is a marathon, not a sprint. If you are getting into this, you are looking at several years minimum. I'm not here to lie to people and tell them it's a weekend detox. I'm here to fix people with the truth. So, on to the questions now. Julia asks, hello, is romaine lettuce still on the LYL OK food list? Based on Google, it's pretty high in vitamin A. First of all, like, I gave up on food lists because it's just too difficult to move through life with food lists. But here's what I can tell you about romaine lettuce. Generally, white or light green are going to be your best choices. The darker green things get, like think kale, like think spinach. The darker green things get, the more vitamin A you get in plant foods. So what could you do with romaine lettuce to minimize? So people who can't really think hard about these things have trouble because they want just like you're asking. And I'm saying this is a good question because I want to show this to people. Is romaine lettuce all one color? What can you do with a cucumber to minimize the vitamin A? You can peel it because cucumbers have really dark green skin, right? But they're white to off-white on the inside. Okay. So then you can get away with doing cucumbers if you want by peeling them. What can we do with romaine lettuce that is in the same vein? You could cut off as much of the dark green part as you choose to, and then you can eat the rest of it. Now, some people who are really sick and some people who don't tolerate lutein, which is a very specific carotenoid that some people, especially the undertypes, which I go over in the course, undertypes tend to have more problems with lutein. They may not be able to do that. So can I just say that something is okay? No, everything I do has context. Everything I do has context. So could some people get away with this? Sure. I do. Maybe once every, I eat romaine lettuce, maybe once every 2 weeks. Butter lettuce is a very light green. But the vitamin A purists out there will be like, oh my gosh, Dr. Smith is recommending something that has vitamin A in it. And I'm like, you guys can lock yourself in a cage if you want. I'm not out. It is not the existence of vitamin A that has caused all these problems. It is things like, oh, I don't know, pokies and pharmaceutical pills and glyphosate and pesticides and toxic factory stuff and putting toxic things on your skin and eating tons of vitamin A because you thought it was a health fad. It's you taking toxic supplements that you didn't know about that damaged your liver. It is the combination of all of these things that got us here. Now, the one constant that's going to be in food, whether you like it or not, is some amount of vitamin A. You don't get to escape it. Even Grant's diet is not free of vitamin A. People who think that they found a vitamin A free food that is not like pure white, there's some amount of carotenoids in them. They just don't count it as retinol. What's the RAE? I'm not remembering. Retinol activity equivalents, I believe. They just don't count it as that because it's not a pro-vitamin A carotenoid. Oh, but I have studies showing that lutein, even though it's not a pro-vitamin A carotenoid, it doesn't turn into retinol, but it still activates retinoic acid receptors. So it still acts like vitamin A. That's all we need to know. So anyway, it's not as easy as just saying yes or no. I don't want it to be because I want to be able to make choices. So what we have in the Love Your Liver program is we have a quick start guide where people can learn these concepts. So you could go out to a restaurant and know the concepts and not have to like look at a food list. That's not what I want people to have to do. We're out here to live our lives. We're here to get better, but we're also here to live our lives and not obsess on things. Okay. Next question from Julia. How to avoid and cleanse advanced glycation end products and lipofuscin, I think it's fusion, accumulation in the body, any connection to vitamin A? First of all, I do no thinking about ages. What does modern nutritional science want you to do? They want you to think smaller and smaller. Let's get down to the microcellular level and the nano level and the pico level and do all these things. That never got anybody anywhere. What you need to look at is the whole organism. Does this make people's symptoms and health better or worse? You want to know why they want to go so small? They haven't improved human health since they've gone smaller, have they? Like there's no major breakthroughs in people's health. People are getting sicker every day. Do you want to know why they're going smaller and smaller? It's so they can hide toxicity better. Because when you only have one cell reproduction cycle, you don't get to see the long term, right? Micro going to macro. So I'm saying they like the one cell cycles in the petri dish because they don't have to show you the long term, and they think they're being real smart, or they know they're hiding something from you. And what's the enzyme that they use to study vitamin A, retinoic acid a lot? They use luciferase. Weird. They also use that enzyme to study vitamin D. Weird. What do I talk about? Not consuming vitamin A and vitamin D. Weird that they study them using the enzyme named luciferase. So I don't care about ages. That's just it's majoring in the minors. I don't. There's other practitioners out there who will sell you every supplement in the book to try to get rid of it, and then those same people would come to me, and I'll be like, "Get off of that garbage," and I'll get them off, and they'll feel better. Strange. Lipofuscin. So the easiest thing to do as an example with this would be lipofuscin. The color of it is from carotenoids. I'm going to put a link here about the history of vitamin A toxicity, how they found it in a 1.5 million year old fossil. Bone symptoms of hypervitaminosis A. 1.5 million years ago. What form of vitamin A do you think they were eating? Oh, they theorized that they were eating carnivore liver. What do carnivores eat? Oh, they eat herbivores. What do carnivore diet people? What livers do they eat? Oh, they eat herbivore livers. And then the carnivore livers get super poisoned with vitamin A. Weird. Isn't that like exactly what I'm talking about? Oh, if you haven't seen my eating liver is a poison video on this channel, you should go watch it. So, carnivores get vitamin A toxic livers by eating herbivores. Sounds like carnivore diet or nose to tail carnivore dieters. So anyway, but I talk about lipofuscin in there. Fusion, whatever. I don't care about the pronunciation. It is, let me find it in this article. What did they, so they have, there's a one paper where they were looking at a woman up in the elderly Eskimo. Let me read this. Early evidence of pathologic change in the liver comes from the frozen body of an elderly Eskimo woman who died in a landslide on St. Lawrence Island, Alaska, some 1,600 years ago. So this is Eskimo or Inuit, right? Histologic examination of the liver showed preservation not only of the portal areas, but also of hepatocytes, many of which contained lipofuscin pigment. So she was dying of, or she had liver disease. She had liver disease. She died of a landslide, right? Now, there is a long history. So let's talk about, everybody loves to hold up the Eskimo or the Inuit as some bastions of health, and that vitamin A obviously is not a problem up there because they eat lots of cold water fish and blah, blah, blah. So let's talk about known mental problems in the Eskimo Inuit. So this is from the paper Social and, well, let me put the link to the first paper in here. Well, I put the link to I put the link to the whole thing in here, so you can find all these links. Okay. Piblocto, maybe I'm probably murdering the pronunciation. Piblocto or Arctic hysteria appears in Eskimo societies. Seen mostly in Eskimo women, symptoms include screaming, uncontrolled wild behavior, depression, coprophagia. I don't know if you know this, but that means they're eating feces. Okay. Insensitivity to extreme cold, such as running around in the snow naked, and echolalia. I forget what that is. I'm not going to look it up right now. It's not. You can look it up if you want. It has been suggested that it may be linked to vitamin A toxicity, as the Eskimo diet provides rich sources of vitamin A, such as the liver of Arctic fish. Is that like a, yeah, weird. Now let me go find, let's go retinoid schizophrenia. The paper is called 3 Independent Lines of Evidence Suggest Retinoids as Causal to Schizophrenia. Oops. Now, they mentioned lipofuscin. Here's the quote from another paper. Lipofuscin, or this might be from the same paper, lipofuscin is the name given to fine yellow-brown pigment granules composed of lipid-containing residues of lysosomal digestion. It is considered to be one of the aging or wear and tear pigments found in the liver, kidney, heart muscle, retinaldehyde, retina, adrenals, nerve cells, and ganglion cells. You guys ever seen a heart, like cow heart? You ever notice what color the fat is around that heart? It's usually yellow, right? So let's see. Here's another paper. I'm just going to read the title of it. I don't think I really need to read any of the paper. Accumulation of carotenoids in brain and heart of animals on aging. The role of carotenoids in lipofuscin formation. The role of carotenoids in lipofuscin formation. I think that's enough. And then you have people out there on the Ray Peat bandwagon being, to avoid lipofuscin, you eat carrot salad. Blah, blah, blah. Guess they missed that part in the research. I didn't. Lucky Lucidity says, do you think that organic food from really big companies is actually truly organic? For instance, do you think the organic bananas from Dole or Chiquita are really organic? Do you think, as a question, this is an honest question, this is something I ask myself. Do you think that non-organic bananas are better than the organic? Do you want to take that risk? If you live in a city and you're trying to protect your health, the best, you're not going to go grow your own bananas. So you are at their mercy in terms of what are you going to eat? If they tell you that this is organic and this is not, and you don't know what is going on, truly, and same thing for me. It's the same thing for all of us who are buying our own food. Unless you're growing it, am I going to buy organic still? Yeah. Do I think it's generally going to be better? Do I think that Dole has to do different things to get their organic certification? I do believe that they have to do different things. Is it as good as we hope? Probably not. And are they always going to try to weaken organic standards? Probably. But does that mean that would you rather eat plant foods that have no restrictions on them? Or would you rather eat some of the plant foods that have restrictions on them? I'm still going to eat organic. You can place your bets. You can take a risk and say, I don't think organic means anything, so I'm just going to eat non-organic because it's cheaper. Hope that works out for you. But that's the reality of the world we live in. Unless you're going to grow your own food, you're at the mercy of the industry. But I would still eat organic bananas. I mean, they're only like, what was it? I don't know what they are nowadays because thanks, Joe Biden, for trying to destroy the country. Anyway, that's the only explanation if you don't know. No one could do this much damage in less than a year unless they were trying to. That's his job, is destruction. There's no other explanation. Nobody could be this bad. But anyway, so yeah. I mean, they used to be 19 cents a banana at Trader Joe's for the non-organic, and I think 29 cents a banana for the organic. Is it 50% more? Yeah, it costs 50% more, but it's still a low cost. Beans are still cheap. Grains are going up. Free Michigan says, are canned foods safe? Well, that's a huge question. Are the foods that are in the can safe, first of all, right? Are canned sweet potatoes safe? No. Doesn't the metal and plastic lining leach into the foods, especially if they have been in the can a long time? One of the things I tell people about beans or other things that are in cans is when you take them out of the cans, you rinse them. At least that will help. So you're not consuming whatever that liquid is. Is it a problem? I mean, possibly. When we're heading towards engineered food shortages, are you going to say that you don't want to eat canned foods because they're toxic, or are you going to eat them because you need to live? Hard choices. It's not a hard choice for me. People be like, don't drink out of plastic bottles. And I'm like, so when there's no water, you're going to drink out of plastic bottles? I'm going to. Am I going to do it when I don't have to? No, this is a glass bottle. Canned foods, there's the BPA issue in the liner. So then you can get BPA free canned foods, which have something to replace BPA, which may be worse because they don't have as much research on it yet. That's how they sneak things in, right? The enemy of BPA. What we don't have enough research on is what the replacements are. Do I think that it would be probably better? I mean, do I know it would be best to eat fresh foods? Or let's say, do I think that dried beans, as an example, or dried grains are better than things that are in cans? Yes, I do. Do I know that the aluminum in Tetra Paks, if you don't know what Tetra Paks are, think of the containers that your chicken broth, your soy milk, your rice milk, not that any of us here should be even touching soy milk at this point. But anyway, think of those containers. Those have aluminum in the liner. If you don't believe me, just cut one open and then you can see the silverish gray liner in there. And I can show you on hair tests how it raises people's aluminum. So those are leaching into the food. Things leach. Do I eat canned foods on occasion? Yes. Canned beans, I will eat. Do I make them a regular part of my diet, like daily? No, I don't. So that's the answer. I would try to minimize your canned foods, but it's up to you how often you decide to put them in or not. Okay. Glenn says, should I remove calculus buildup with a dentist? Is it harmful? Some say protective consultation May 2nd. Oh, I mean, I'm guessing you mean consultation with me. That's great. I'll see you then. Looking forward to it. And dental x-rays. We talked about dental x-rays, I believe, last time. You're not going to get to go see a dentist without getting x-rays. Are they good for you? No. There is no amount of x-rays. This is one of the few things I got from Ray Pete. Like the I could count them on one hand that I got from Ray Pete that were actually useful and not making people sicker, is that there is no known safe dose of x-rays. But we're exposed to x-rays every day we're alive. So, but like, who gets the highest doses of x-rays? Pilots and flight attendants. Don't want to call them stewardesses, right? Flight attendants. And they do tend to get cancer sooner than other people because they're exposed to more ionizing radiation up there. So we don't want, and there was another study, let me see. See if I can find it. Okay, here we go. This will work. Paper is Association of Brain Cancer with Dental X-rays and Occupation in Missouri. So, in a case control study in a rural town, we interviewed surrogates of cases and controls about potential risk factors. We found a statistically significant positive association of brain cancer with reported exposure to dental x-rays. We found that motor vehicle manufacturers, beauty shop workers, cosmetics, hair stuff, ladies and men, managers and administrators, elementary school teachers and hairdressers and cosmetologists had significantly elevated proportions of brain cancer. Further study of brain cancer etiology with respect to dental x-ray exposure seems warranted. Now, you're not going to get to go see a dentist if you don't get dental x-rays. That's just the way it is. That's the way they've made it. They have a standard of care. So you got to get dental x-rays every 2 years minimum. I have a dentist who waives that for me because I know him personally. And I just told him, like, unless there's a problem, I'm not getting dental x-rays. And he knows I'm a doctor. So he lets it slide. But I don't know if you can find a dentist like that. Getting plaque off the teeth generally, like the scraping and all that stuff, I don't know of any problem with it. I mean, humans, if you look at animals' teeth, people are like, we need to live like look at animals. They know how to live perfectly and da da da. And then you look at animals' teeth and you smell animals' breath and it's freaking horrible. Yellow teeth with like plaque all the way up them, and their breath is like death. We should live like animals and cavemen. I don't think anybody here wants yellow teeth with plaque all over them and it's horrible, horrible breath. So we have decided in this modern world that those standards are unacceptable. Are they unhealthy? We try to make them as healthy as possible. I would much rather, if somebody was going to get plaque off their teeth, I would much rather they were picking it off with those little dental tools carefully rather than like putting a chemical in my mouth to dissolve them. Yeah. I would rather a mechanical approach be used rather than a chemical approach. Actually, I have a study. For those of you who aren't familiar with my Lactoferrin, it's over at the nutritiondetective.com web store. But let me find, here's a funny thing about Lactoferrin and bad breath. I'll find it. Let me go into my Slack. 1 dose of Lactoferrin significantly improved subjects' breath in studies. Where is it? Here it is. A randomized, double-blind, crossover, placebo-controlled. Do we have all the keywords in there or not? A randomized, double-blind, crossover, placebo-controlled clinical trial to assess effects of the single ingestion of a tablet containing lactoferrin, lactoperoxidase, and glucose oxidase on oral malodor, bad breath. It significantly improved bad breath. That study I just put in there. 1 dose. Imagine if you took it daily. What's it fixing? Well, lactoferrin has been shown to help fix the gut biome. It's been shown to be antipathogenic. It's been shown to be anti-biofilm. Pro-liver, helps fix the bile ducts. Helps people poop better. I have studies on constipation and lactoferrin. And it helps with a lot of things. So dental stuff, lactoferrin helps with. We have some people who open up the capsule, they get it a little bit wet on there. They put it on their gums and their teeth, and it sticks. When you get it wet at first, it sticks, and then it slowly dissolves. So you can like pack it like almost like tobacco, right? You can pack it on your teeth and let it sit there and do its work. You could also swish with it. It does take a while to dissolve. It takes like 20 to 30 minutes to dissolve, but once it dissolves, it's dissolved. But yeah, so do I go to the dentist for my cleanings? I do go to the dentist for my cleanings, but I don't. Would you like the fluoride mouthwash? Hell no. Would you like dental x-rays this time? Hell no. Can we do anything other than mechanic? I do let them do the little buffing, whatever the heck that is. I don't know. Maybe I'll change my mind at some point. But do I still do it? Yeah. But do I get any dental x-rays? No. Until my kids until until my kids are adults, I have made it so that they will only get x-rays every 2 years. They have lowered the radiation doses on dental x-rays a lot, probably because they know they're up for lawsuits. But I don't have, I share custody of my kids, so I don't have complete control over their stuff. So those of you who share custody of your kids and you don't have control over their stuff, you do the best you can. Even me. So Apocalypse Miracle says, well, you can reconsider and teach us biofeedback. I really need the skill and I will not misuse it. I will. Biofeedback is something that I personally have learned. I learned the gym movement approach, which is quite pricey to learn. It's not that difficult, but I use it as kind of an assist to the. Do I still do blood tests on myself and hair tests on myself? Well, can't you tell I do hair tests, right? That's where all of it goes. Now, I'm kidding. The hair tests and the blood tests are the map, and what I use biofeedback for. I don't teach this again yet because I think it can be misused. I remember seeing some people who learned this, and they were talking in a Facebook group, and they were testing their relationships with their significant other. And the guy who ran the group said, "Oh, I think this is totally fine. Go ahead and do it." And I was like, "Oh no. People abuse this all the time. They're going to try to pick lottery numbers with it. They're going to try to do all sorts of stupid shit with it. And for people who are, do I think there are bad, evil influences out there that can affect unwitting and unwilling people, especially those of no faith? Yeah. And you start going and asking questions of your body and of the ether and whatever you choose to call it, you may be inviting these things in if you are not of faith. And then if you start trying to do things that aren't okay, like trying to dig inside of other people's motivations or try to profit from it or other things, which is usually the first place that many people will go. I messed with it myself and it didn't work actually in terms of those things, in terms of relationship stuff, and in terms of, is this going to happen or is that going to happen? And it doesn't work. Don't do it. But it's similar to, for those of you who are familiar with kind of the idea of AK, applied kinesiology, or muscle testing, but this is it AK? No, it's not AK. It's a bit different, and not everybody can do it. Only about a third of people are very good at it. Those tend to be the very intuitive people who are already in touch with themselves. A third of people can learn it, and a third of people can't do it at all, no matter how hard they try. Their body gives them no feedback at all. And can I tell who that is? No. Was I one of the people who had to? I was always fairly intuitive, but I actually learned how to become more intuitive with this. It would tell me when my feelings in a certain direction were true. And then as you get better at it, they get stronger. So this can help. This helps me on a daily basis to, if we have the map is the map is the blood test, and then the turn by turn, the Google Maps directing you as you go, is the symptoms that you notice. And I use some biofeedback to help determine which turns I want to make that day. I don't know if I'll bring it back. I probably will. It'll be inside the network. It's not going to be something for the general public. Because I have ethics, and I want people to be safe with it. And the people who can't even come into my network to understand what I'm all about and what we do, I'm not going to release it to the public. So, got a couple more minutes. Dom Juan says, I have shortness of breath that started 2 years ago and it came with a 24/7 abdominal distension. Do you think it could have a relationship to vitamin A? I think it could be a B1 deficiency as well. Well, ascites, you may not be full on ascites, but what is ascites? In pathology, a collection of serous fluid in the peritoneal cavity, dropsy of the belly. Or as they say here, an abnormal accumulation of serous fluid in the abdominal cavity. So, if you have abdominal distension, could it be, is it some form of inflammation in and around your intestines and liver and organs? Yes, it is. We just went over ascites as a really bad manifestation of that in that case study, right? So let's see. Let's just do what I'm searching here. Dyspnea hypervitaminosis A. Dyspnea is shortness of breath. But I can tell you that for those of you who know who he is, Matt Stone. Why am I not remembering his website off the top of my head? Somebody help me with his website in the comments. I don't know why I'm brain farting on that, but Matt Stone, personally, he was the guy who wrote some blog posts and some Facebook posts about Grant Generoux's work on vitamin A toxicity. And so I always will have Matt Stone's writings on it and his encouraging me in the comment sections of his own blog to go check it out for being able to help people in this way as I do today. And then Grant obviously wrote his free ebooks. If you want to read about hypervitaminosis A and vitamin A toxicity, go to, if you want to start somewhere where it's more like a story of Grant doing this and getting better, go to ggeneroux.blog, and there's 3 free ebooks there. So nobody helped me with 180 Degree Health. Let me find it. Let me find the article that started me on this whole journey that led me to Grant Generoux, and then led me to doing this. Where is it? Here's an article called Anti-Peat, Grant Generoux's Theory of Vitamin A Toxicity. Yeah, it is directly anti-peat. And we get, for those of you who are peat followers and you're listening to this and you're going, this guy's crazy, I don't believe any of it. Well, we get lots of peat fallout people here. We get peat refugees, as I call them. Why am I not finding this? This should be easy to find. .com Grant. Well, geez, I tried to go to his website and maybe his website's not even up anymore. I hope not. Anyway, it was a 180 degree health post. It was awesome. Matt did as he does, which is contrarian stuff and questioning everything, which is what I do. And that's why Matt and I got along so well. We wrote a book together. And then that is part of how we got here. But shortness of breath. Oh, what I was getting into with Matt was Matt has asthma, which is kind of a form of shortness of breath, right? And Matt has said on the internet before, so I'm publicly on the internet, so I'm not saying any hidden medical information, but he has said that if he, like, let's say eats dairy, if he eats vitamin A in a significant amount, especially dairy stuff, his asthma will come back. And he says he can eat, and Matt has talked about how his diet is not the best, the cleanest, but he'll say that he can eat total garbage junk food. Like, I think he mentioned Skittles. He's like, I can eat freaking Skittles, and if it's low vitamin A, my asthma stays away. But if I eat vitamin A, like I have a milk or cheese or whatever, especially, he's like, the vitamin A toxicity symptoms for him is asthma. It comes back, and it takes 3 days of going back on low vitamin A to get rid of it. So there's a connection to shortness of breath. I could probably find it. I have a vitamin A toxicity master list on that forum that I linked earlier. So you can go and check there if you want. But yeah, absolutely. Could it all be connected? Yes. Is it all connected to your liver at the root? So remember, vitamin A toxicity, what it does is it attacks your liver. It stores in your liver, and it's just slowly eating away, damaging the liver. So all of these problems are always rooted in the liver. It's just the vitamin A that is the part that people often don't know about. And then they make the mistake of thinking that eating more vitamin A is going to be healthy for them. And then they're stuck because they're making the problem worse. The sicker your liver gets, the slower you get rid of vitamin A. So then you guys out there who know this, you go on a nose to tail carnivore diet, or you go on a Ray Peat diet, or you go on the Weston Price diet, or you go on a vegan diet where you're juicing high carotenoid vegetables, and maybe you feel a little better at the start, and then later the shit hits the fan. And you're like, I don't know why I'm getting worse on this diet. Maybe I just need to eat more liver. Maybe I just need to juice more. Maybe I need to drink more raw milk. Maybe I need to eat more egg yolks. Maybe I need to do all of these super high vitamin A things because obviously I wasn't getting enough before. All of us have done it. We've all doubled down. Every time you ever think about doubling down on something that isn't working, don't. How many people do you know? They're like, I was only taking like one pill of this supplement and I didn't feel that much better. So I doubled it up and all of a sudden I felt a lot better. How often does that happen? No. If your doctor's got you, you go to an alternative doctor especially, and they put you on 5 bottles of stuff when you leave their office for, I don't know, $300 of supplements, and you're taking them and you come back and the doctor's like, well, and you're kind of going, maybe I feel a little better. Maybe I don't. What should I do, doc? And the doctor ups your supplements and adds more things to it. You're getting worse. If you have to add more supplements to your routine, add more pills, add more things that are not essential nutrients, you're getting worse. Essential minerals, that is the main thing that you need. Oh, you were asking about thiamine. Here, we'll do the breakdown on thiamine. One of the biggest things with chronic disease and bile in the blood, aka cholestasis or liver injury, is aldehydes. The ones that people commonly know, acetaldehyde is made from ethanol, alcohol. Formaldehyde comes from methanol. And yes, you do eat foods with methanol in them, and it does get broken down into formaldehyde. And retinaldehyde, which is the aldehyde form of vitamin A. So these things tend to build up because in disease states, we tend to get slow ALDH, which is the enzyme pathway, the detoxification oxidative pathway that breaks down aldehydes. So what did I figure out about B1? B1 helps bind to aldehydes, certain aldehydes, not all of them. Different compounds bind to different aldehydes. This is why some people, you might know somebody who's like, I took B1 and I felt amazing. And another person's like, well, I took B6 and I felt amazing. And you find all these different people using all these different supplements that we know bind to aldehydes. I have papers showing B6 adducts with aldehydes. That means it binds to. I have papers on B1 binding to aldehydes. That means it binds to. I have papers on ascorbic acid binding to aldehydes. I have papers on, what's the other one I was going to mention? I forget right now. But anyway, they bind to aldehydes, which makes them less toxic. So if you have to take mega doses of B vitamins to feel better, what that means is you have whatever that B vitamin binds to, you have tons of that aldehyde in your system. And you're medicating it. You're not fixing the cause at all. Because as soon as you stop the B vitamin, the problem's right back, right? Within a day or two. The root cause is still there. You've medicated it, which is fine. I'm not, if you're taking B vitamins without a reason and without a benefit, though, I wouldn't do that. Don't take antidotes if you're not poisoned by that poison. But how do you find out? You got to try the different ones. A healthy person needs very, very, very few B vitamins. Very few. We have people doing great who have chosen to. I do not support the all beef and white rice diet. I do not support that. But we have people, there's two people out there who they're claiming this, not me. They claim that they have fixed type 1 diabetes. They have gotten off insulin with an all beef and white rice diet. Their claims, not mine. Is there a decent amount of B vitamins in beef? Yeah, sure. Is there anything in white rice? Not really. Is it an extremely low vitamin A diet? Yes, it is. Are there any aldehydes to speak of in that diet? Yeah, there's a few in the white rice, very few, but there's some. Is there any sugar in that diet? No. Is there a lot of copper in that diet? No. Gosh, it seems to line up with a lot of the principles that I teach people over in the Love Your Liver program. And people are getting rid of chronic diseases that modern medicine would say are incurable. What do we do? What is the approach here? I'm going to wrap this up here. Sorry for not getting your questions. I'm going to really work on getting the super chats up. So those of you who want your question to go to the top can do that. If you have more questions to ask, where I'm going to right now is I'm going inside my network at nutritiondetective.com. And I'm going to run my inner circle group now, which is an hour and a half to 2 hours of me doing this, of people who I guarantee they get their questions answered there. Now, also inside the network, if you don't want the cost of the inner circle, there's the advanced detox program, which is where my videos, Q&As go a month after I do them in the inner circle. So if you want to hear me talk more and you want to get your questions answered, the inner circle inside the network is where you guaranteed to get them answered. Here, obviously, I don't get through that many questions because I want you to understand, for those of you who are not in the network, I want you to understand what we're doing here and why this all makes sense, why there's research to back up everything we do. So, nutritiondetective.com, that's where I'm going to go do this. Oh, the things that we do to fix this. This is the 5-point approach of what we do here. I believe it's 5 points. Yeah. We're going to stop putting poisons in the body. We're going to stop intoxing so you can start detoxing. We are going to use things, hopefully from foods, if we can do it all with foods, that help the body to get rid of stored poisons in the liver and the toxic bile. We are going to increase the oxidative rate of the liver because that is how your liver detoxes poisons. If you've been eating all these superfoods and antioxidant garbage, you were sold a lie and you're getting worse. And there's people in the research field who say, with all these antioxidants that people are eating, the rate of cancer is going to explode over the next decade. What's happening right now? Is cancer going up or down? They have all these micro studies and all these antioxidants, and cancer's through the roof. And I know multiple people from a buddy of mine who I trust very much, who I know in person, who has told me after the thing, he knows 3 people who have gone metastatic. What do the pokies do? They cause liver injury. Here, let me find that paper, which then cause you to accumulate more poisons in your liver. Anything that damages your liver causes your liver to run slower, which means that the poisons that come in are not dealt with as well. So then your liver stores more and more of them until you can't store anymore. And then they spill out everywhere into your blood. And that's when the shit really hits the fan. First, you used to have like mild chronic diseases, and then all of a sudden they explode. That's the fill-up point of your liver. So we increase the oxidative rate because oxidation is how your liver actually like destroys poisons. We use lactoferrin to fix the bile duct, the bile pathway, to fix the leaky liver, the leaky bile ducts, the leaky gut, which is how toxic bile gets into your blood. And I highly suggest you use my lactoferrin because through experience, people's anecdotes, people's experiences, it just works better because it's from fresh milk and not denatured versus the other cheaper stuff out there. So buy nice, don't buy twice. Last thing is we correct the essential mineral statuses of the body, of the minerals that are truly essential. There's not that many of them. And then we avoid the minerals that are thought to be essential, which are actually toxic. We minimize them. That's what we do. So these testimonials that you're seeing, that's what I'm doing. It sounds like a lot, and it kind of is. But we're trying to undo 100 years of garbage science poisoning us all. So if people are like, well, that's not what the normal research says, that's the same research that they use for let's take pills all day. And that's the same research. It's funded by the same people. Why would they not corrupt nutrition science, folks? What do you do every day? I mean, you don't have to go and buy pharmaceuticals. You don't have to go and get poked. But what do you have to do every day? You have to eat. So if they can tell you the wrong things by nutrition science, then they've got you. They can tell you on one side, do a keto diet and eat fat all day, even though no humans have ever eaten an 80% fat diet practically anywhere. Oh, go do a low 80-10-10, low fat, mostly vegan diet. So they'll put you on the extremes, right? Oh, eat all meat all day, every day. Oh, eat only plant foods all day, every day. Republican, Democrat, conservative, liberal. Let's make the duality so people feel like they have to choose a side, because most people don't want to use their brain and actually have to think about it. It's easier to just look at a food and go, is it an animal food? Oh, okay, I can eat it. Is it a plant food? Oh, okay, I can eat it. They can turn off. And then they can always fall back on, but the research says this. The research that was funded by, I don't know, the Rockefellers and other places like that. Vitamin A and vitamin D and calcium research started with the Rockefellers. Think about that. So anyway, that's all I have for today. I got to go do my inner circle, people. Hope you all enjoyed it. I am Dr. Garrett Smith, the Nutrition Detective of nutritiondetective.com. I will be back here next Friday. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a great weekend. Bye now.